5, shot 2, take 4.
Hi, I'm Charlene.
I'm Nia Jenkins.
I'm Siwan Owain.
Hi, I'm Corey.
Hi, my name is Kane Young.
I'm Sam, the writer and director.
And I was first AD.
I was the DOP.
And I did the edit.
I was the camera technician.
And I was the production designer for Being a Vampire.
Pre-production, I was in charge of the shot list and storyboard. I had already made the shot list for fun when I originally wrote the script. However, I experimented with different shots and changed a large amount of them. The storyboard was fun to create. I spent a few days making the imagery and presentation as clear as possible, and I always referred to it on set. This was a useful way to keep the shoot running smoothly. While making the storyboard, I also drew up concept art for the characters. This not only gave me a base character reference for the storyboard sketches, but it also gave the other crew members a clear impression of what the characters would look like. After we were greenlit, we were keen to start filming straight away, give us more time to do reshoots after Easter if we needed. Although we had more time to shoot at the start of Easter, we unfortunately had less crew members, due to them being at home or on holiday. This caused a strain on production in the middle 2 shoot days. On the second shoot day, it was in the underpass. For this shoot we only had 3 crew members, and one had to leave very early. Luckily, my flatmate was willing to stand in for the sound, so he's credited as the operator. This was a tough shoot day. Although we had permission to shoot there, we couldn't obstruct passers-by, and with it being a Saturday night, we had a few interruptions. Most were just interested in what was happening, and we never felt threatened, but people would walk into the shot every few minutes, making it the longest shoot day of them all. The final shoot day was definitely my favourite. We had all the crew, and it was the funniest scenes, the living room and the kitchen scenes. It was a great way to end the production. I'm really proud of this project and my crew, and I hope you all like it.
As first AD, I was set many different tasks to make sure that the cast and crew knew exactly where they were going to be at what time and what was happening going on. For this, during pre-production, I was set the tasks of doing call sheets, the shooting schedules, as well as the location records. With these, I sent them all on email to the cast and the crew, as well as sending them on our group chat, just in case somebody didn't get the email or didn't realise we had the email sent. And if there was something being changed to the shooting schedules, I would resend them and then tell the group that that was happening. During the production, I tried to be on set as much as I possibly could. I also made sure to help the director and the camerawoman, Sam and Siwan, as much as possible with whatever tasks they needed. Issues on set during our first shoot, the shoot days had to be moved forward to days where we weren't originally filming and days where I had made plans prior with family during Easter, so I could not be there. I tried to make sure that even though I wasn't there for the shoots, that I was available at any time. One thing I found difficult about our production was making sure that everybody could make it to each shoot. Sometimes the communication within the group wasn't its strongest with some people. Most of the team were brilliant and answered any questions we could have possibly had, but when some people fall out of communication, it makes it difficult as a group to plan, organise and get something done. People have a lot going on outside of uni, and as a group we open-heartedly understood that. I open-heartedly understood that, and I tried to make sure that everybody knew that whatever they had going on, it was fine if they couldn't make it to one of the shoots, as long as we were made aware. And if they didn't want to go into detail, that was completely fine, but it's just if somebody tells us that they're not going to be there, it was brilliant. When people didn't, that's when the communication dropped. On one of our shoot days, it was our last shoot day, I was at Maxwell early and I went to go check out our location and found that we couldn't enter the room and it was locked. If I wouldn't have gone earlier, our shoot day would have been completely messed up and we would have had to push forward again and rebooked our equipment, but I managed to act straight away. And I've managed to find people who could open the room for me. It took a lot of communication with different people that day, emailing various different people, as the room was now being used for something that it wasn't before, which we were not made aware of. But thankfully everything in the room was exactly how we left it and we got filming done straight away.
As my role was the producer, I think my main focus was the pre-production side, so the first task I did was create an actual budget. This went well and was helpful when it came to us all putting money in, and it allowed us to see if the film was feasible. When it came to making the budget, I think I should have made a real life budget to compare and contrast, to help me gain knowledge on working in the industry in the future. The next thing I did was create a schedule, and I think this was really helpful. It was clear and concise, and I think it allowed the team to stick to a certain time schedule, and it allowed us to have good time management. When it came to the risk assessment, I was able to complete everything minus the actual booking of the equipment. So I worked closely with Siwan so that we were able to get it out at the right time. Overall, I do think the shoot went pretty smoothly, and I think the pre-production documents that I created did help the crew. At the beginning of the production, we all discussed what days people would be free to shoot. We filled in a spreadsheet, and that allowed us to see what days people would be free. Unfortunately, the actors could only film on the weekends, and due to other commitments I had, these are the only days I couldn't. But I think due to the detailed planning that we had done during the pre-production stage, this meant that everything went smoothly and it didn't affect it too much. I was able to be there on one of the shoot days, but overall I think everything went pretty smoothly.
As I had not previously been in the role of DOP, this was the first time for me. However, I was grateful for the new experience of learning how to be within this role and also how to use the camera, which was the Vericam that we used. Throughout the pre-production process and days leading up to filming, I had talked often with the director about hoping to capture all the shots he had planned for the film, as it was his idea at the beginning. I believe as the DOP I worked well with the director to capture the film, and I also worked well with other members of the crew, especially the first AD and the production designer, as we often communicated and wanted to create the best film possible for our director. During filming, I often discussed with the director what we wanted for each scene, and we would both agree on the lenses and the camera setup that would be best to achieve this. We had a few issues with equipment during filming, especially one day being pushed back because there was an equipment issue. However, we made it work and we worked through it, being able to film the weekend following, and we had the right equipment. Our producer had a few issues booking out equipment during filming, therefore me and the production designer took it upon ourselves to book out the equipment to ensure that filming went smoother. Though we had a few issues with crew throughout filming, as sometimes communication wasn't the best, we did find a way around it by other members taking up their work, as sometimes they couldn't come to filming. I believe as a whole we worked well as a team, except for a few members. However, I'm quite happy with what we captured, and I hope the film looks good at the end. As the DOP, I am proud of the shots I got for the film, and I do believe that I worked well within the group.
Camera set. Scene 4, shot 1, take 1.
Action!
I'd like to think I did a very good job in successfully achieving the overall look wanted for the film. I had very good communication with the director, ensuring that everything I was doing was right and fit with the storyline. I broke down the script and made sure I had every prop and character profile and noted so that when it came to actually looking at the designs, I knew what I was looking for. I created character designs and set designs for my pre-production, and then I worked with the first AD when it came to buying and ordering everything that was needed for the production design. This allowed me to have a second opinion, and we could discuss what would look better or what more we could do to add to the design of the film. When it came to our filming days, I would design the set to my desired look with help from the rest of the team. This included hanging wallpaper up, moving furniture about, placing props in place, and ensuring any props that the actors were going to use were in the correct place. Wine bottles that you can actually see throughout the film were filled with water and food colouring so that it came across like they were filled with blood. However, to allow the actors to drink some of the blood, we used actual red wine so that it made the film seem more realistic and related to the idea that they drink bottled blood. I also did the makeup for the actors using white makeup powder to lighten their faces and dark eyeshadow around the eyes. The vampire teeth were fake and moulded to each actor's teeth. This also gave the realistic view of a vampire. We associate fangs with vampires. This was very important to the character profiles. The director helped massively with the look for the actors. I just had to follow his instructions and achieve his desired look for each character. Through filming, I also filmed a lot for assignment 2, make sure we had a lot of behind the scenes footage to use and to give anyone watching the best idea to what happened during the process of filming Being a Vampire. Even though I was very proud of my achievements towards being the production designer, I did have to help with some of the other roles. As the producer was unable to book equipment out in time, I had to book it all out, and the DOP helped to collecting it from Media City. The DOP also worked with me when I had to create dailies and proxies for the editor, as we had some issues with the footage from the beginning. I taught the DOP how to do this so that she was able to do the rest alone and then send it all off to the editor. It saved a lot of time as well. On one of the filming days, I also had to fill in for the sound operator. Overall, I not only completed my own role to my best ability, but I also helped my team when it came to needing extra help with other roles. Therefore, I believe that I completed my role as a production designer rather well. I am happy with the design of the film, and I really enjoyed the different styles and looks that I had to research into and then design.
I use DaVinci primarily as the editing software because its color correction is really easy to use, and there was one scene in particular, well, throughout the film color correction was important, but one scene in particular has a moment where the character has this kind of fade from this bluish tint to kind of a reddish kind of tint, and for that scene DaVinci made it really easy to color correct and have it smoothly just go from one to the other without being jarring. During the editing there was a couple of problems. One of the biggest ones was for a couple of the locations we didn't have a clapperboard while filming, so I had to go through manually and individually, find moments where the audio would line up, and it takes a while. It's not difficult, but it is time consuming, so it does take a while to do. One of the other problems was the green screen scene, which is like a few seconds long, was missing its actual the green screen tracker wasn't working because the green screen that we shot just wasn't bright enough, and the problem was if we did make it any brighter it would reflect off the surface of the keyboard and stuff, so ultimately I had to end up keyframing each individual part, and that took quite a while. And that's really the majority of problems with editing. They're not necessarily difficult, they're just time consuming, and you have to invest a fair amount of time into doing it. Everyone was helpful though in providing feedback throughout the editing process. I always had Sam telling me kind of how he wanted the film to look, how he wanted the color grading to be, how long a scene should be and whatnot. So I used that a lot, and we had a lot of back and forth about how we wanted the film to evolve, because originally it was just kind of a dark comedy, but after we were looking through music choices and stuff, we decided that the end scene would actually be better. The tunnel scene would not only be better just completely silent, but we also decided to go for more of a kind of creepier music tone, because we ended up deciding to go for more of a horror look and make it more jarring, which ultimately I'm happy with. I did enjoy the edit for the film, and I'm glad that I got to do it. It was fun, and everyone was super helpful the whole time. The group was really good at providing constructive feedback, so it was always easier to make the edit better, and that's like the key to it.
I'll be talking about some of the things I had to do while on set. For that I was on set for 2 of the shooting days. The first day when I got there, tried to set up the equipment, but we were missing the battery for the sound kit, so then we weren't able to use that. So we were like, okay, we'll have to connect it to the camera. Then I used XLR, plugged it in, tried to set up the boom pole, but it turns out we had the wrong screw. The wrong screw was put into the back of the boom pole, so then the dead cat didn't fit on the pole, so we couldn't actually use that. So then we were like, okay, we're gonna have to use the internal mic, and add an external one to the camera. So then we used the internal mic to see if we can get footage for that day, but it was quite dialogue heavy. So then going back into the editing room, the dialogue wasn't usable, so then they had to reshoot the scenes. And then we planned better for next time. We decided double check the kit bag before. So second shooting day, showed up, found the kit bag, put it together, put the battery in, learned how to use it, pressing the record button, pressing the stop, just record, stop, had it on my side, and then we re-recorded all the scenes from the first day of shooting that I was involved in, but we actually had the external microphone now, and because we didn't have it attached to the camera, there was a lot more wiggle room to move about. I was in between the camera and lighting in the back, had the boom pole either rested on my leg up towards above the actors, or I had it on my shoulders. I had to have it quite high, and I had to track them from the doorway to the seats, so I had to hold it to that, so that I had to make sure to have a steady hand and try to get as clear and good audio where there's not a shakiness or any issues with audio. And then we had to film in a separate room upstairs. It was a very small kitchen, so I couldn't have the boom pole pointed up. Pointed down, sorry, I had to have it pointed up from the floor instead. So I had to squat outside the door and hold it from below, point it upwards towards the actors, and try to test the reverb and make sure the levels were okay. I was able to do this to a sufficient degree. The sound was quite clear, it wasn't peaking. I wasn't too sure about the reverb in the room. It was a small room, so I don't think there would be too much reverb, but it was mostly because I had to point the sound from below upwards instead of having it up pointing it down. I was a little bit worried about that, but in the actual footage we used, it seems like it went okay. So yeah, first shooting day, bit of a misstep, issues with not having the proper equipment to be able to use it. Second time, we had the equipment, it was perfectly fine. I also filled out some pre-production paperwork, planning the type of equipment we'll be using, how we'll be using it, and yeah, just what general sound we're going for in the room.
That's a wrap.
Go to the table.